Roy Mock lived most of his life in uncertainty until he arrived at Grand Rapids Christian High, where he would go on to find his feet on the track. The Panthers' winning vibe has been triggered by Coach Allen's international eye for talent. The Red Wings are only 2 wins away from reaching their last ever Western Conference final. But first up, another date with the Blackhawks on Thursday night in Game 4. Reporting from Joe Louis Arena, Ruben Juarez, 24-Hour News 8 Sports. Buenas noches y bienvenidos a Deportes 8. Les saluda Ruben Juarez. More than 10 languages have been spoken by Coach Collins' players, but he prefers that their skills on the field do all the talking.
Now, normally a young athlete's journey to success is marked with intense training, dedication to nutrition, and to bodily health. But for one, the journey to athletic success, it's hard to believe, marred by war, starvation, and cultural obstacles. But as Ruben Juarez tells, it's now the history of a West Michigan college athlete.
With breakaway speed, he glides to first place finishes. But as a 5-year-old in war-torn Sudan, where young men were groomed into fine-tuned gun-toting soldiers, Roy Mock was running to stay alive. And victory came in the form of waking up to see the next day.
It just doesn't matter where do you hear the gun sound, and you gotta pretty much be able to run to duck out or somewhere to hide.
Mock's father, Bol, feared the worst for his son, so he sent him to Kenya, where he would live with his older half-sister Ajak, who he had never met, and her family in a refugee camp.
I feel like I was the abandoned child at the time, but I guess he knew what he was doing, and I appreciate that now.
In Kenya, Mock and his relatives survived on a limited supply of ration food given to refugees by the UN.
If you cook it on a regular basis, it won't last you about like 4 days short, and you could starve in those 4 days.
In 2006, Bethany Christian Services sponsored his arrival to West Michigan in the middle of winter.
Yeah, that was the craziest part.
An unwelcoming dose of winter weather was only one of the many cultural challenges that Mock faced. His first experience in an American school consisted of playing board games because he couldn't speak English.
You're just sitting there like, what are you doing at school? And you're gonna do that all day because you don't know anything.
Roy Mock lived most of his life in uncertainty until he arrived at Grand Rapids Christian High, where he would go on to find his feet on the track. Before coming to America, Mock had never seen people run competitively. So it's no wonder he was mystified when a gym teacher said,
"Guys, come around, we gotta go run a mile." I'm like, what are you talking about? He started laughing. I'm like, okay, I'm for real. He said, okay, I should go on the track.
The Sudanese native would never look back, and as a result of his knack for being in front of the pack, the boy who once ran for his life will now run to better it.
I mean, it's a blessing though. I don't have money to pay for college or anything.
If not for his arrival in the U.S., Mock believes that he would most likely be holding a gun back in the Sudan and not a baton on the track. Reporting in Grand Rapids, Ruben Juarez, 24-Hour News 8 Sports. Miguel Cabrera is on a healthy diet of home runs and hits. He's got the stats and the silverware to prove it. So it should come as no surprise to see what this Venezuelan Sultan of SWAT did today in the Big Apple. Cabrera at the plate on the top of the first scoreless game as the Mets and the Tigers close out their 3-game interleague series, and Cabrera taking one to the second deck above the Mercedes-Benz sign, making it 2-0 Tigers. The Tigers bench, pretty amazed just like the rest of us. And then the Mets take the lead back in the bottom of the 4th. Travis d'Arnaud with his first ever home run, giving the Mets a 3-2 lead. More long ball action in the 6th. Andy Dirks for the Tigers with a 2-run dinger of his own, putting Detroit back up 4-3. And then the Tigers break it open in the top of the 9th, scoring 7 in a row to give Detroit the 11-3 win. With that victory, the Tigers maintain their place atop the AL Central with 77 wins and 53 losses, 6 games ahead of the Indians. A year ago, absolutely no one outside San Francisco knew who Colin Kaepernick was. Nowadays, he's the brightest star for the team from the city by the Bay. Kaepernick and the 49ers hosting Adrian Peterson and the Vikings in NFL preseason action. First quarter, Kaepernick scrambling, fires a bullet to Quentin Patton from 5 yards out, giving San Francisco a 10-0 lead. And then late second quarter, Vikings get one back. Christian Ponder hooking up with Zach Line from not too far out to make it 10-7 San Francisco. On the following kickoff, Lavelle Hawkins for San Francisco gonna take it back 105 yards as the Niners go on to win 34-14. Now let's switch it from the West Coast to the Third Coast. New Orleans paying the Houston Texans a visit. Second quarter, Drew Brees down the middle to Pierre Thomas. He breaks a couple tackles, runs away for the 55-yard touchdown, pulling the Saints to a 10-7 within Houston. Late second quarter, the second string is in for the Saints. Luke McCown, the former Oklahoma Sooner. Kenny Stills. That would make it 14-10 as the Saints go on to win 31-23. Now let's switch it from football to football. In 2010, their homeland was destroyed by a deadly earthquake. But for the women of the Haitian national soccer team, devastation did not destroy their desire to play the game they love. A packed house was on hand at Cornerstone University to see the Haitian women's national team take on Cornerstone in an exhibition, with funds being raised to benefit the growth of the women's soccer game in the Caribbean nation. And it would be the Haitians who would come out on top thanks to this goal from Dina Jean-Pierre, who receives the cross and fires it past the keeper to give the Haitians a 1-0 win. A nice morale-boosting win for Haiti as they begin qualifying for the 2015 Women's World Cup in a few months. Good luck to them and a good night to you. Thanks for tuning in to 24 Hour News 8 Sports.